Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be going over my favorite loadouts in Warzone for Season 6. I'm just going to go through the loadouts, the attachments I use, why I use them, why I like the guns, and there will be timestamps in the description. If you want to see a loadout for a certain gun, you can just go there and click it, and then it'll bring you to that time in the video. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, please do remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you find this video helpful. Thanks for watching. So to start off, we're going to have the CR56 AMAX. This is actually my favorite weapon in the game right now. I really enjoy using this gun. Really high damage. It puts people down incredibly fast. It does have quite a bit of recoil, but once you get used to it, it's extremely effective. And I find that I outgun a lot of people that are running the Kilo, which is the more popular assault rifle. So I have monolithic suppressor, Zodiac barrel, VLK 3X, 45 round mag, and then Ranger foregrip. It's a pretty standard assault rifle loadout. Longest barrel, monolithic suppressor, highest magazine. One of the big drawbacks of this gun is that it only has a 45 round mag. Be okay. And then Ranger, nothing too special, but I love using this gun. It's probably my favorite gun in the game right now, and if you haven't used it, I would definitely recommend trying it out. It does have recoil, like I said, but once you get used to it, it puts people down, and I don't really have much of a problem at all controlling the recoil with this weapon. Next, we have the ASVAL as a submachine gun. This is the newest assault rifle that was added, but I find that this weapon performs best in close range. And we have 5 milliwatt laser, the Stovall stock, which increases aim down sight speed and aim walking movement speed. Makes it faster handling. Merc foregrip, 30 round mag, and stippled grip tape. Just trying to make it have as fast handling as possible. And you might ask, why no barrel? This gun doesn't have any damage drop off until like 35 meters, I think. And that's well within the range that we're going to be using this. Since I'm going to be using it as my submachine gun, I don't need it to be going past 30 meters, so I don't need to waste an attachment on that, and I don't need to slow my handling down. We want to have as fast handling as possible because this thing has incredibly fast DPS up close. And you might also be wondering why Merc foregrip. A lot of people don't use Merc foregrip anymore because it got nerfed. And I think a lot of people hear that Merc foregrip got nerfed, but they don't really understand what changed about it. So this reduces recoil. It makes your hip fire accuracy better. And it also used to make your movement speed faster. That's what they changed. It no longer makes your movement speed faster. But if you want to reduce recoil and you want better hip fire, the Merc foregrip is still incredibly good. And that's why I use it on this build, because I want to have the best hip fire I can have, since I'm going to be using this more like an SMG than an AR. If I was going to try to make a long range loadout with this, which I wouldn't recommend, I probably would end up using the Ranger foregrip instead of Merc. But for close range, the Merc foregrip is still incredibly good. And I really like this weapon. It's my favorite close range weapon at the moment. It can be used pretty interchangeably with the MP5. Most of the weapons, or most of these loadouts that I show, the close range weapon is pretty much interchangeable between the MP5, that ASVAL, or the R9, which I'll show in a bit. But for the MP5, this is what I use. We use monolithic integral suppressor, FTAC collapsible stock, Merc foregrip, once again for the better hipfire, and it does reduce the recoil, and the 45 round mag. The last attachment, you can kind of do what you want. Some people go sleight of hand. Some people go stippled grip tape. Some people go tack laser. Some people go 5 milliwatt. I've been messing around with the 5 milliwatt laser. This is what I've been using on my MP5 the most recently. I haven't been using it that much, though, because I think the ASVAL is better. But this is the MP5 I like. You could also take off FTAC collapsible stock if you wanted, because it does add some recoil. But I find that the recoil is still very manageable and still very easy to control. So we can get that faster handling here. Like I said, I think the most expendable attachment is the last one. And also, all of these close range weapons are interchangeable between each other. And you'll see on the next class I have the R9. For my perks, I run EOD Overkill Amped on pretty much everything except for my Ghost class. C4 and Heartbeat Sensor. I might start trying out some of these other lethals since the nerf of C4, but I've yet to do that. And then you could also take off the Heartbeat Sensor and put on something like Stuns if you want to. My next class, the Kilo. This is the most popular assault rifle in the game. Incredibly easy to use, incredibly consistent. Just really, really consistent and easy to use at pretty much any range, which is what makes it a weapon that a lot of people gravitate towards, because then they can just focus on playing the fight out and not like worrying about recoil or worrying about the gun. Monolithic suppressor, longest barrel, VLK 3X, commando foregrip, and then 50 round mags. I mostly play solos. If you're a squads player and you want to bump that up to 60, that's fine. But since I mostly play solos, I just stick with 50. It's fine, and it doesn't really we don't get any of those slower handling attributes. And then this is the third close range weapon that I use. The R9 shotgun. We use choke, forge tack sentry, 5 milliwatt laser, dragon's breath rounds, and then the Merc foregrip. Once again, we're using that Merc for the better hip fire. Dragon's breath R9 is incredibly good. I don't know why I'm not seeing it in game more in season 6. I feel like a lot of people are just hyped on the AS Val right now. But towards the end of last season, the Origin was probably the most popular weapon in the game. And last season, I felt that the Origin and the R9 were very close to each other, and it just kind of depended on preference, which one you chose. With the Origin being nerfed and the R9 not being nerfed, I think the R9 is like the premier close range weapon, and it's actually, I think, the best option for close range in the current build of Warzone. Like I said previously, you could change that out for the MP5 or the AS Val. Pretty much the close range weapon that I use just depends on how I'm feeling at the moment. They're all very good, and they just all kind of have different playstyles. Next is my sniper loadout. This is going to be the same AMAX I used before, but we're going to have rubberized instead of VLK. Since I want to use an iron sight assault rifle with my sniper, we had a free attachment. I tried tac laser a few times. I tried this exo stock, I think. But I found rubberized to be really helpful because the AMAX's recoil I find manageable with a VLK sight. But with iron sights, I wanted something to control that recoil a little bit more for me, so I went with rubberized. If you are fine aiming with iron sights, you could maybe put on that exo stock or tac laser. But I feel like I'm pretty bad with iron sights compared to how I am with a VLK, so that's why we used rubberized. And then this is the new sniper they just added. I think it's the best sniper in the game. We got monolithic suppressor, longest barrel, the 338 Lapua ammunition, the scope, and then the stock, which increases aim down sight speed and aiming stability. Aiming stability is really good to increase with snipers. You could also take that off and put tac laser on if you wanted, but I, for some reason, don't like using tac laser with snipers. I did for the HDR just because it had such slow handling, but this gun, you can get away with this stock, and I think it works out just fine. So this is the build I'm currently running for the sniper. This ammunition is currently bugged in its hit scan. So if you wanted to take as much advantage of that bug as you you could take off the barrel, you could put on like tactical suppressor, and then you could use this last attachment for something like tac laser. But I'm using this because I think they're going to fix the sniper, and I want this video to be like valid through all of season 6. So we're not trying to take advantage of any bugs that I think are going to get fixed. Once the bugs get fixed, I think this will be the best way to run this sniper. You could also put something like a RAM or an M4 on this, but we'll get to that RAM loadout later. Next is my Ghost class. I use a monolithic suppressor, stock M16 Grenadier barrel, commando foregrip, 60 round mag, and fully loaded. The reason for this is because I play a lot of solos, and coming off the gulag in solos can be pretty scuffed. So what I typically do is drop my ammo, and I also have fully loaded on a pistol as well. I drop my AR, my SMG ammo, and then pick up the loadout, get ghost, and then drop the gun for my previous gun. Since all of these loadouts have overkill, I'm just getting this ghost class for the perks, right? So I get fully loaded on both these weapons, I drop my ammo, and then I leave behind this M4 with full AR ammo and full SMG ammo on the ground next to it, in case I have to come off gulag. This is something my friend Alex helped me out with, but I think this is incredibly helpful in solos. In duo, squads, trios, I don't think this is important to do. But since I'm going to be leaving behind those guns anyways, I might as well leave behind something that's going to be pretty helpful if I do have to come off gulag. We can get this, get full AR ammo, and the M4 is versatile enough to where I could use just that, and then maybe kill somebody and then swap this gun out for their guns, or maybe I get another loadout later on. It's mainly just there so that I have something coming off gulag, and I don't have to just like 50-50 my loot again, or just like pray and hope something hasn't been looted. I just land on where my loadout spawned. And what I typically try to do with my loadouts is I buy one of these overkill loadouts really early on in the game, and then I just get ghost off my free loadout. Next gun is the PKM. One of my favorite weapons in the game. It has been since I started playing. My friend who helped me a lot when I was like new to Warzone really liked this gun, and they recommended it, and I really like it as well. I feel like it's just kind of like biased since it's one of the first guns I really like started using and started getting good with. But we have monolithic suppressor, longest barrel, tac laser, VLK, and then the snatch grip. This gun is incredibly powerful and incredibly underrated. It gets a lot of hate for being slow, but the ADS time is actually faster than the Bruins now because a lot of people's Bruins loadouts don't have tac laser since the nerf to the Bruen. And I don't know why almost a year into the game people are still sleeping on the PKM, but it's one of the best guns in the game. I'm probably going to make another video about it at some point. I've already made like 2, I think, on how underrated this gun is. But the PKM is incredibly underrated. I don't think it's ever been nerfed since I started playing the game. And yeah, I don't know why more people don't use this gun. The hipfire or the reload time on it is pretty slow, but it has a 100-round base mag. And it kills very fast. You can kill people in very few shots. So you get to kind of choose when you want to reload. You can easily get like 10 kills in the same mag if you have really good aim. So you can be pretty picky about when you want to reload. And as long as you use it with a secondary that is a good gun, like I use it with my AS Val here, if it comes down to it, I could just use this AS Val until I'm able to reload my PKM, you know? I wouldn't want to use the PKM with something like a shotgun, even though I have in the past. I prefer it with an SMG or, like in this case, the AS Val. Something that's a little bit more versatile and can be used in case I do get stuck in a situation where I can't reload with the PKM. But try the PKM out. Incredibly high damage. It does have a bit of recoil, but I think it's pretty controllable once you get used to it. And I feel like it's one of the most consistent weapons in the game. And it's just criminally underrated like all the time for some reason. Next is the M4. It's basically the same loadout as before, except I have tac laser on instead of fully loaded. But just basic M4, incredibly versatile AR. This is another thing that you could combo with a sniper if you didn't want to use the CR56 AMAX. There's not really much to say other than this gun's just incredibly versatile, incredibly good. It's just like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 across the board in like every category. One of the best weapons in the game. I feel like it's kind of underrated at this point just because the meta has shifted so many times. People kind of forgot about the M4. But I definitely would recommend playing with this gun. It's lots of fun, especially if you haven't used it in a while and you've been using something like the Kilo, the Grau, and the Bruen since those have been meta. Next, we have the Bruen. Still very good. It's not nearly as good as it once was, but it's still a very powerful weapon. Monolithic suppressor, summit barrel, VLK 3X, 60-round mags, and then commando foregrip. The old build was tac laser instead of commando, but since they nerfed the recoil on this, use commando instead of tac laser. And what that really hurts is the ADS speed, and that was one of the attributes that made the Bruen so nice and why a lot of people loved the Bruen over the PKM. But that PKM loadout I previously showed has a faster ADS time than this Bruen loadout. So if you've been using the Bruen even after the nerf, I would definitely recommend trying the PKM. It's not a bad gun by any means, this gun. It's still incredibly solid, incredibly good. I don't think you're going to lose gunfights because of this gun. It's just solid and good at everything, kind of like the M4 and the Kilo, like I said before. Not really much to talk about. I feel like everyone knows about the Bruen. This next gun, M13, I don't think it's the best gun in the game by any means, but it is pretty good and it is somewhat underrated. We got monolithic suppressor, Tempest marksman barrel. I prefer the holographic sight on the M13. You could use VLK if you wanted, but for whatever reason, I just like the holo on it. 60-round mag and then Ranger. I typically use 50-round mag on a lot of my ARs for solos, but I use 60 on this because it is a pretty weak weapon and it's a pretty like high fire rate weapon. You're going to end up using more bullets to kill people with this gun than a lot of the other assault rifles, so that's why I go for 60 on it. It's very, very low recoil. It's got a pretty consistent time to kill because it's not ever like an exceptionally good time to kill. It always kills kind of slow, but that makes it feel very consistent pretty much regardless of range, which is nice. And it is really low recoil, really easy to use. The one thing this gun lacks is just stopping power, pretty much. If somebody's on a rooftop or playing in a weird spot where they can kind of just like crouch or lay down and then you can't kill them, I find the M13 hard to use. Like, you can't force people to die to you with this gun. They kind of have to make a mistake. Whereas when I go to something like the CR56, if someone over peaks at the wrong time, I'm going to get that kill. The M13 just doesn't put people down fast enough, but I included it because I think if like the Kilo or the AMAX got nerfed, the M13 could be one of the next top tier guns. And it's a pretty fun weapon to play with, but this is mainly just here in case some other weapons get nerfed. I think the M13 is kind of in a good spot in the meta to potentially be a top tier gun if some other things got nerfed. Next we have the Grau, another gun that's been meta for a long time, been very good. People have kind of forgotten about it because it got nerfed, but it's still very good. We have monolithic suppressor, Tempest, Archangel barrel, tac laser, commando foregrip, and then the 60-round mags. Like the M13, this gun doesn't kill very fast, so that's why I put 60 on it. And then if you don't like the iron sights, this gun has incredibly good iron sights, but if you wanted to, I would take off tac laser and put on a scope. Tac laser is the more expendable attachment in this loadout. It's very good, very solid. Like the M13, I don't think it's the best gun in the game right now, but if some other things got nerfed, the Grau could maybe make its way back into being like a top tier gun. And then next we have the Ram. This is another weapon that's incredibly underrated. We have monolithic suppressor, forged tacky clips, barrel tack laser, commando foregrip, and then 50 round mags. There's a few other things you could do with this. You could put on the FSS Ranger barrel. That has a little bit more range and a little bit more bullet velocity and some recoil control. But I use the Forged Tack Eclipse barrel most of the time because when I end up using this, I use it with a sniper. Saved it for last, but this would go on my sniper loadout in place of my AMAX if I wanted to use the Ram. And then you could also maybe take off Commando foregrip and put on Merc foregrip for some better hip fire. The Ram's just incredibly good. It's very, very good up close. It has an incredibly fast time to kill. One of the drawbacks to it is the recoil is a little bit weird. You got to get used to it. And once you do, it's very, very usable. But this gun just doesn't dominate long range like something like the Kilo, the AMAX, the M4, the PKM, the Grau, the M13. It isn't good at long range, and that's why I pretty much only use it when combined with a sniper. But it is a very good gun, and I would definitely recommend trying it out if you haven't used it. This is another gun that's incredibly underrated, and it has been pretty much for the entirety of Warzone's life cycle, it seems. It's always been a very solid, very fast time to kill weapon. It does have that little hindrance of having some recoil, but once you get used to it, this gun's incredibly powerful, and it combos very well with a sniper. And since this sniper is incredibly overpowered, I think we could be like in a meta where snipers are like dominant weapons and something that people use all the time. So getting good with the Ram could definitely be worth it. So that's going to be it for this video. Those are my loadouts. If there's a weapon that you think is top tier and I forgot to mention on this list, leave a comment down below and let me know. And like the video, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you guys another time. Thanks for watching.